Okay, let's get into this. Today we're doing a deep dive into the extraordinary life and career of Julian McMahon.
Yeah, it's poignant, isn't it? Acknowledging his passing just recently in July 2025.
It really is. But we wanted to focus today on celebrating him, his
Right.
talent, the mark he left. We've got this stack of sources here, articles, bits of research, our notes,
Right.
to really explore the journey of this Australian icon who, let's face it, truly conquered Hollywood.
He absolutely did.
Our goal really is to pull out the key insights, maybe find some things you didn't know, and just get a sharper focus on his legacy.
And what strikes you immediately looking at these sources is how unexpected his path actually was. I mean, Julian was born into a family that was, well, it was kind of Australian political royalty, a dynasty almost.
His father, Sir William McMahon.
Exactly. The 20th Prime Minister of Australia back in 71, 72.
Yeah.
And his mother, Lady Sonia McMahon, a huge fashion icon, very prominent socialite.
It's quite the background, isn't it? Especially for someone who became famous for playing these intense, charismatic characters.
Totally. From Aussie soaps right up to, Dr. Doom. It's a huge leap.
He really is. And that background, it makes his story even more fascinating. As we were digging through the sources, what really jumped out was this idea of him navigating the, quote, weight of his father's legacy.
Yeah, it definitely comes through.
And that generational gap they mentioned. I mean, his dad, born in 1908, Julian growing up in the 70s, that's a big difference.
Huge. You can see how that might sort of push someone to carve out their own path, their own identity.
Absolutely. So we're going to trace that path from the prestigious schools, which you'd expect, to modeling runways, which maybe you would.
Milan, Paris.
Yeah. And then finally landing those roles that made him a household name over here in Hollywood. It's really an exploration of how someone from that kind of extraordinary background found his own voice, his own very successful career. So let's start there with those early days hitting the fashion capitals.
That's right, yeah. His career really did kick off with modeling first. Then he transitioned into Australian television. Soaps like The Power, The Passion, and then the big one, Home and Away. He played Ben Lucchini for, over 150 episodes.
Wow, that's a serious stint.
It really was a major stepping stone. He even did a UK stage musical based on the show during that time.
And Home and Away is also where he met Danny Minogue, wasn't it? They got married in 94.
Yep, that's correct. The sources mentioned he was even in her This Is It's music video.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. But the marriage didn't last long, about 18 months. Apparently there were some tensions with his mother, mentioned in some reports.
Interesting. It gives you a little glimpse into the personal side, doesn't it? Even back then.
It does. And then Hollywood starts calling.
Right. And he certainly made an entrance, that role in Another World, stepping out of a pool in a Speedo.
Huh. Yeah, he apparently called that scene pretty magical himself.
I bet. It got people's attention. And pretty soon after, he lands that role as Cole Turner on Charmed.
Oh, Cole Turner, yeah. 2000 to 2003, plus that guest spot later. Such a fan favorite, half human, half demon.
The ultimate charming bad boy, really. He nailed that.
He really did. But then Nip Tuck. That just took things to a whole other level, didn't it?
Absolutely skyrocketed him. Dr. Christian Troy, that character.
Womanizing, morally ambiguous, complex. That plastic surgeon role earned him a Golden Globe nomination in 2005.
Well, it deserved, too. And he didn't just stick to TV. He hit the big screen as Dr. Doom in Fantastic Four.
And the sequel, Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Right. What's interesting looking back is how he seemed to find his groove playing those kinds of characters, the charming villains, or maybe just deeply damaged souls.
That seems to be his niche, doesn't it? He just felt really comfortable there, you could tell. He could shift gears so easily, too. Go from something really intense like leading FBI, Most Wanted.
Playing Jess LaCroix, yeah. From 2020 to 2022.
To something totally different and fun, like Swinging Safari back in 2018. Remember that? Reunited with Kylie Minogue.
Oh, yeah. With a fantastic handlebar mustache.
Exactly. It just shows his range.
It really does. It's impressive how he handled such different roles, but always brought that unique charisma. Whether it was the hero or the villain, you were drawn in. So when you sort of step back from the individual roles and look at his whole career, what are the bigger takeaways? What does his journey tell us?
That's a really good question. I think Julian McMahon's story, it really shines a light on the courage it takes to just pivot. Completely change direction.
From politics to modeling and acting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pivot.
A massive one. It wasn't just changing jobs. It felt like he was really defining himself separate from the family legacy.
Right.
And it shows the resilience you need, especially breaking into a new country's industry. We found notes about the struggles he had early on with his U.S. work permit, for instance. It wasn't easy.
No, definitely not.
And it really highlights the power of finding your specific niche as an actor. He found his.
Playing those complex characters.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, that deliberate break from his family's world, that political background, maybe that actually fueled his creativity, gave him a unique perspective. It shows how people from these very structured backgrounds can find their voice somewhere totally unexpected.
That's a really powerful point. Like, that act of rebellion almost becomes the engine for a whole new path.
Yeah, it could well be. And that kind of leads us to a final thought, something for you, the listener, to maybe mull over after we finish up here.
Okay.
If you think about Julian McMahon's journey, coming from this world of political power, socialite status, all that, and then becoming famous for playing these really morally complex, charismatic, often quite dark characters on screen. It kind of begs the question, what is it about those figures? The ones who blend charm with that darker edge? What makes them so captivating for us as an audience?
That's a great question.
And maybe, what does that fascination tell us about, well, human nature itself?